Hey guys, I miss you. It's been a strange couple of months. I hope that you're taking time to watch the videos that I posted on the Google Classroom. Today we're going to talk about the bench mortiser and what it's used for, how it's to be used. I was able to assemble it the other day. I made a video doing that if you want to watch it. But today I'm going to make a video showing how to use the bench mortiser. And what it's going to be used for is a mortise and tenon joint. I don't have all the equipment here at home to do the tenon, but basically you have a board and you have a tenon on the end. It's like a tongue that sticks out there, and then we're going to cut a slot with the mortiser for that to fit into to make it tight. Now if you watch the video that I posted from YouTube, it's not one that I made, but it had to do with 9 different types of wood joints. That video, it does show him making, or at least showing what that joint is. So go ahead and check that out. So first I want to take a minute just to talk about the tool itself. It's very similar to a drill press. You have a pull down lever to lower and raise this. You also have a chuck in here, and you have a chuck key, and that chuck key will when you come in here, you can twist it open, you can take that bit out. Right now I have a 1/2 inch mortising bit in there, mortising chisel bit actually, and I'm going to be putting in a 1/4 inch bit because the board that we're going to cut into is it's not even quite an inch wide, so if a 1/2 inch bit would hog out way too much material there. If you were going into maybe a 1.5 inch thick board or something like that, you would want to use the 1/2 inch. 3/4 inch board, probably want to use a 1/4 inch. With this tool, you have the fence that's adjustable. You can release this lockdown device and you can screw in here, and as you can see, that fence is moving back that way. And what this fence is going to do, it's going to determine the the point at which it's going to cut into this board. So as you can see right there, it's going to hit here. If you were to turn it out this way, I could move it to where it goes right down into the middle of the board. Okay, this here is a hold down clamp. It doesn't really hold it down. Like if you push it down fairly tight, it's not really going to clamp the board down. It's still going to allow for that board to slide, but it will hold it from hopping up and down when you're pulling the bit in and out. And I don't know if you remember with the one drill press that we use, sometimes when you're backing the bit out, it wants to lift your board and you have to hold it down. This will help hold it secure and not lift up on you. Okay, it's very similar to a drill press, but it has some other features. Right now it's set up with chuck. The regular chuck is all the way up inside of here. If you were to put a regular drill bit in there, it would hardly stick out the bottom. Okay, so they have this extension, so you can actually convert this over to a regular drill press, and you can put this in the chuck, and this will hang down below, and you can put a regular drill bit in there. Okay, we'll keep that chuck in the back, right here, and in this rack. It also has a place to store these chisel drill bits, mortising chisel bits. It also has some Allen wrenches here to adjust various features on this tool. On the front here, you can see the safety power switch. You flip it up to turn it on, push it back down to turn it off. It's nice and big, so you can cut it off very easily if you need to for safety reasons. Another feature that you can see is right here. We have this ring that can be locked down, and what that does is that sets the depth of your cut. So if you were to set it right here and you were to go down, this is how deep you would go into your wood. Okay, we probably won't be going that deep, so we'll set it up more accurately as we determine what we want to do, but that's probably closer to what you want. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do when you're getting ready to use this tool, you're going to have to figure out what size of board you're going to use. This is the only scrap wood that I have here at home. that will work. I don't have the right tools to cut everything the size that I need here at home. So we're going to use this board. If you look on the edges here, you can see that they're not parallel. It's not a true 90. So this board kind of sits at an angle. So when I put it in here, you can see it's not setting up against the fence. It'd be nice to take it up to the joiner, square that edge up, or to take it to the table saw. But like I said, I don't have those here. So we're just gonna have to work with what we have. Okay, we can hold it flat here. We could put some clamps here if we want. But we're just gonna make sure that we hold it flat against the fence so that it will go down into this board square. It won't make a really good joint. And that's okay, because I don't have a way to do the tenon that's gonna go into this at this point. So I'm just gonna show you how to cut the slot in this board, to cut the mortise in there. Okay, so we know that we're gonna be using the 1/4 inch mortising chisel bit. So I'm gonna take that, well, I can leave the guard on there, it doesn't really matter. There's a little plastic cover that you can put on those. They're pretty sharp. And that will also, it'll protect you from getting cut, but it'll also protect the bit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take this 1/2 inch one out of here. So we'll stick the chuck key in there, and we're gonna turn it counterclockwise to loosen it. And once it's loosened, this bit's gonna drop out. And I have it, right now I have it raised all the way up. And you can see that this other bit here, you have your drill bit inside, and then you have the chisel on the outside. So this is round, it's gonna cut a round hole, and as it presses in, as you press it down, this chisel is gonna cut away the corners of that hole, so it'll cut a square hole. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on, and we'll put it back in its place. Always wanna put your things away so they don't get lost, okay? All right, now when we put this bit in, I guess I'll go ahead and take the cover off. When we put this in, if you look at the bit really closely, you can see that it's closed on 3 sides, and then on the front side it's open. So what we're gonna do, what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna turn that bit to where the open side is facing the operator, okay? I'll go ahead and go up through this hole. It's a pretty snug fit there. And then we're gonna go clockwise to tighten it. I think I am gonna put that cover back on because I'm having to push up on it, and it's. Now this bit has a lot skinnier shaft, so we wanna make sure, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the chuck a little bit. We don't want the holders on that are inside the chuck to pinch the shaft of that bit. We want it to go down evenly on the side. If it's open too much and it gets in the corner, the bit's gonna go like this. It's not gonna spin evenly. So as I have messed around with this a little bit, it is a little bit harder to get the 1/4 inch bit in than it was to do the 1/2 inch bit. And part of that is because the shaft on the bit itself, the drill bit itself, is very thin. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and jump a step forward. With the other one, what I did is I did this part second. This time with this bit, I'm actually gonna do this first. If you come over here, I can show you. There's a little Allen screw right here on the side. And what that does is it's gonna hold this outer part in place. And I'm gonna try to get that set screw probably to hit right there in this slot here. And what we'll do is it'll keep this this chisel from turning, because we want there to be square holes. We want the chisel to set square. So we'll set it with the Allen screw, and then this part here is going to go inside the chuck, and we'll tighten it into the chuck so it'll spin inside there. So as you can see, I already have the chisel in here, and it's locked in place. And what I wanted to do is to go ahead and try to square it up so it's square with the fence. That way, when you cut your hole, it'll be perfectly, the slot will perfectly parallel with the edge of this. If it's crooked, you're gonna end up with a bunch of holes like this. And it won't cut an even slot. So what you want is for that to be squared up. And then when you cut multiple holes, it'll cut a straight slot. Hope that makes sense. Okay, then the next thing is, now that we got that locked in, we've got it squared up, we're gonna push this bit all the way up into the chuck. I'm gonna go ahead and put that cap back on there because I don't have any gloves on or anything to keep me from getting poked. Push it all the way up in. Now hopefully this goes right to the center. It feels like it is a little tricky to line up. I've never used one of these, so bear with me. It's my first time. I'll go ahead and get that tightened up and then I'll show you. This mortiser was designed, it was designed with this guard that flips up and down. And I was kind of playing around with it, and when I used the bigger bit, it was longer, and so it stuck down below the guard. With this one, if we try to lower it down to cut into a board, the bit is higher than the guard, so this isn't gonna work. There's no way for me to lower that bit. The one thought was we could use the chuck extension to put that bit on, and then this would hang lower below the guard, and we wouldn't have that problem. Only problem with that is, since we're using a mortising bit with the chisel, we need to be able to have that chisel part up inside of here to lock it in place so it doesn't turn. So our only option is to take the guard off. So they probably put the guard on there to be compliant in some way, but it's not really usable. They did make it adjustable so you could raise it low or lower it for a longer bit, but with the shorter bit, there's just absolutely no way to use it. So I'm gonna go away for a second. I'm gonna take this off, and then we're gonna do a demonstration without it. All right, as you can see, I went ahead and took that guard off of there. I'm almost wondering if it's not designed to be used with the guard. I mean, if you think about it, once this thing is turned on, the chisel itself isn't gonna spin, it's just gonna be the bit inside. So it's not like something's gonna grab you and pull you in like a regular drill bit would. It seems like this guard will work better when you put the chuck extension on and are actually using a drill bit to protect you from getting your clothes caught in something that's spinning. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off. It's gonna be the only way to use this. When we go to use it, even though this board has an angle cut on it, I'm gonna hold it tight against that fence so it's nice and square this way. One thing that I don't think I showed you yet, I'm gonna go ahead and spin this chuck. If you come around to the front here, you can see the drill bit spinning inside. And see, this chuck is, the chisel part of that bit is stationary, but the drill bit is spinning inside. So as you go down to the board, the drill bit's gonna start pulling the wood out, and then the chisel's gonna square out the edges. So what we're gonna wanna do to get this set up is we're gonna check out what the thickness of our board is. We're gonna measure that, and then we're gonna find the center of that, and then we're gonna figure out what this bit is, and we'll do the math. We'll figure out, okay, where do we need that bit to cut for that slot to be in the center. Since today we're just doing a test piece, we're trying it out, I'm not gonna worry about it being exactly in the middle. I don't have a piece to pair this to anyway. I'm just gonna do this for demonstration purposes. So I think I have it pretty close to center right now, good enough that we can try it out. I do believe that I have this bit fairly squared. If we cut two slots beside each other and we find that chisel is turned a little bit, we can turn it off and we can adjust it slightly. So once we have the depth of this fence set to where it's going to go down into the bit's going to go down into the middle of the board, the next thing we want to do is set the depth. When we're cutting into this, we want to set the depth. We don't want to probably go this far into it unless we have a really long tenon that's going to go into there. but I'm guessing we probably would go about 3/4 to an inch thick or deep. So I'm just gonna say that looks like a good depth. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time making it perfect right now. Once I get it where I like the depth, I'm gonna go ahead and set this stop so that the bit won't go any deeper. This is something that the drill press we have in the shop is missing. It does not have a stop on it, and we've had to rig stuff up to keep it from going a certain depth. This is a nice stop. It works really well. It's strong, so it's not gonna be moving over time as we hit it. Each hole should be cut exactly the same depth, okay? Once we're done with that, we probably want to go from the end, figure out like how far we want to be from the end. Once again, with that, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm gonna push this up flat and drop that guard down into place so that I'm able to slide this. But I'm really gonna keep it pressed in with my fingers. You could use a clamp here, but this is something that we're gonna be moving over quite frequently as we're cutting this slot, so I don't wanna lock it too permanently. There are mortisers that are not benchtop ones like this, like full units that actually have tables with a crank on it that will move the table over for you after each pass. So you can clamp your board on there and adjust your table over. But this one doesn't have that feature. It's a pretty basic one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. This is the first time I've ever used it, so we'll see how it goes. And you do have to press more firmly than with the drill bit because it's not actually drilling away the corners. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it's done so far. It's cut a square hole in our board. So when you're pressing, it's actually cutting away those corners, okay? I'll go ahead and blow it off. I'm making a mess of my wife's kitchen here. I'm sure she'll forgive me. I hope so. I've got a shop back over there, so I'm gonna clean it up afterwards. Okay, now, as you can see, I cut that hole. If you come right over here on the front, you might be able to see. Next, I'm gonna just slide it over, okay? I'm gonna cut the next hole beside it. And that will start cutting our slot. I don't have any safety glasses here at home. You guys are probably gonna be like, hey, Mr. Suter doesn't have his safety glasses on. Fortunately, this thing doesn't seem to be throwing, it doesn't really throw a lot out there. And each time I pass, I'm just moving it over about 3/16 of an inch and doing my next slot, or my next cut. And you just continue to do this until the slot's as wide as you need it to be. You would pre-measure where you want that slot. You'd probably draw a mark or something where you want it to go to. And you can see it's nice and square, and it was cutting a good slot. If we had a board with a tongue on it, we'd be able to stick it in there. I would probably go about that wide. If it was a board like this, you're probably gonna cut away on your end. You'd probably cut away about this much. Like that, and you'd cut it back like this. So you just have this tongue sticking up, or the tenon, and that would slip down into here. But you obviously a secondary board. So that's how to do that. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or to call me, and I can explain it in greater detail. Hopefully you'll get to use this next year when we get back into the school.